Abhishek, all eyes on the crucial press conference today and all eyes whether United States takes a balanced approach when it comes to this raging conflict and the loss of lives on both sides, or he completely sides with the Israelis when it comes to the narrative against Hamas. Could we see solidarity between the United States and Israel when it comes to taking on terrorism emerging from Gaza? But at the same time, given the Israeli offensive and the loss of lives on the other side, could America be forced to take a balanced approach?
In fact, Ayushman, you're right. When President Biden is reaching here, he has already started, kind of showing an approach which is not tilted in favor of Israel or against Palestinian people. So his tweet just before coming has been that he doesn't want to see any more civilian casualty. That is what he has said. He's coming at a time when the tensions are pretty high along the borders of, Israel and also in the region. We have seen yesterday night, it was reported that Israeli consulate in Turkey was attacked and it was burned. Israel has issued an advisory for every citizen of Israel to leave Turkey immediately and come back. There have been reports of Hezbollah, targeting, Israeli deployment of forces by anti-tank guns. So it's very escalating situation, and one can only hope that when President Biden will be here, he will have talk with the Prime Minister Netanyahu and some sort of, bringing down the temperature, how to bring down the temperature in the region. That will be discussed. We have already seen President Mahmoud Abbas he has cancelled his meeting with President Biden, and the Amman trilateral that was supposed to happen in Jordan, that is also not going to happen. So President Biden's visit is kind of, it has been dented way before it actually started by the very attack, the deadly attack on the hospital in Gaza, which has killed about 500 people. That is what the various agencies are claiming. So in the entire context of situation when President Biden is reaching, one can only hope that the situation around the region will not escalate further. This is what the world leaders, especially most of the NATO members, have also saying, that the escalation should continue while the fight against terrorism is justified. The civilian casualty is something that Israeli side will have to limit, and will have to ensure that it doesn't happen.
Right, but Abhishek, at the same time, with no engagement with the Arab world between, Joe Biden and, the leaders of the Arab world, and now Joe Biden is in Israel and he'll have those intensive talks with Benjamin Netanyahu. We also have the statements coming in from the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei, who has said that there will be a global jihad if Israel continues its crimes against Gaza. So given this entire situation, could this engagement between United States and Israel also serve as a trigger for the ground invasion of Gaza to eradicate the Hamas threat?
In fact, Ayushman, every stakeholder in the region, every country in the region is actually sitting with their hands, their fingers on the trigger. So even the small incidents can actually escalate to a full-blown conflict. What we have seen yesterday happening, that has created a lot of, anger among the people. We have seen thousands of people marching in Jordan, in Syria, in UAE, and in several countries around Israel, who have been protesting against the Israeli action on Gaza side. We have already seen before this 500 people were killed on the attack in the hospital. There have been about 2,500 civilian casualties that has already happened because of the aerial strike that Israeli government is trying to target Hamas terrorists on Gaza holdouts. But amidst all the counteroffensive that Israeli government has launched, the civilian casualty is something that is now taking the center stage, and the world's attention is quickly shifting to the humanitarian crisis that has happened in Gaza. It has been 10 days since the Israeli did suffer one of the massive onslaught of terrorism in their history. But the counteroffensive, which was supposed to be very quick and swift, is something hasn't happened. It has kind of gotten delayed. At the same time, humanitarian crisis in the Gaza has emerged as one of the major headlines around the world. So we'll have to see how the several narratives working in the region will settle, and how the Israeli counteroffensive against the terrorists in Gaza will continue to go.
Right, but Abhishek, at the same time, Joe Biden has no reason to doubt what the Israeli government is saying, because the Israeli government has now said that these 500 people who have died in that Gaza hospital, they were killed by Hamas itself. Hamas is killing its own people. That is the narrative that's coming in from the Israeli government. And at the same time, Joe Biden is, with Israel, he has no engagement with the Arab leaders. Give us a sense of what's happening around Gaza right now. Is the IDF just waiting for a green signal to initiate that ground invasion?
Ben Gvir report. Well, Israeli territorial army is well entrenched. They are well deployed along the southern Israel, that is towards Gaza, and of course on the northern side also. But at the same time, we are having a situation where the conflict is actually distracting Israeli forces for any counteroffensive that will be against Hamas in Gaza, because whenever there will be a probability of major territorial invasion from the Israeli side towards Gaza, there could be a possibility that Hezbollah will start more attack on the Israeli forces, and the resources of Israeli army will be stretched thin along the border. So that is one of the reasons probably the counteroffensive is taking time. Also, the intelligence input is something that Israelis are trying to gather a lot, because there are tunnel network, there are anti-tank mines, and lines of mines that has been laid by Hamas that has been reported. So that whenever Israeli army will try to invade Gaza, enter Gaza, there could be major casualties that Hamas could inflict upon them. They are also very well settled and positioned in various streets and cities on top of various buildings, so the snipers can take shot at the entering army. So the situation is not very favorable right now for the Israeli army to do a counteroffensive. That is first point. Also, with the entire situation escalating in the region, and President Biden reaching at a time when the situation is not very good, tensions are high because of the few hours ago we saw a massive attack happening on Gaza Strip. In that attack, hospital building was destroyed and about 500 people were killed. Israeli side has tried to justify, saying that they have not been involved in that. Initially, they reported a video also explaining that this is how the attack happened, and misfire by another terrorist organization actually hit the building. But later on, the Israeli side also deleted that video. So the U.S. president has also said that investigation should go on. French President Emmanuel Macron has also said that investigation should go on as to which side and who has been the culprit of this deadly attack that killed 500 innocent civilians. So the situation exactly is not clear whether the investigation will reveal. In fact, we'll probably never be able to understand which side got this hospital hit, and whether it was a misfire, it was a targeted fire, or how it all happened. But the civilian casualty is something that is actually now becoming center of discussion, and entire narrative of anti-terrorist operation of Israel is also being countered by the massive civilian casualty that Israeli airstrikes have been doing in the Gaza Strip.
Right. I'm also getting a reaction from Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who has tweeted where he has reacted to the airstrike on the Gaza hospital that has killed 500 people. He has said, and I quote, "Deeply shocked at the tragic loss of lives at the Al Ahil hospital in Gaza. Our heartfelt condolences to the families of the victims and prayers for speedy recovery of those injured. Civilian casualties in the ongoing conflict are a matter of serious and continuing concern. Those involved should be held responsible." So that balanced approach coming in from Prime Minister Modi. But all eyes on that meeting between Joe Biden and Benjamin Netanyahu as the conflict rages between the two sides, and that very devastating attack in Gaza where a rocket targeted a hospital, killing 500 people. I'm also joined by